Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hmm? Wait, it's loading. Hey, guys. How's it going? Welcome back. Friends, family, fellow animal lovers, fellow puzzle lovers, fellow, I don't know, true crime stuff. We're just going to do a chill stream today while we do some puzzling, talk a little bit about some true crime. I've been listening to a lot of crime junkies lately, and this whole true crime stuff has been pretty fascinating lately, um, as far as like what's been going on in the world and such. So thanks for tuning in. Um, I'm gonna start off by doing a new puzzle. This one seems pretty hard, so I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. So let me actually check and see if I have. I'm wondering if I should continue to work on this one with my friends or if I should go back to it. Let's see. I wonder if I can do a pop out chat. Yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. Oh, actually, where did it go? Yes. Okay, cool. So, let me pull up this chat again just so that I can see it. Amazing. Okay, let me go back to here. Anyone can join these puzzles. Oh, I don't think I want to join anything that anybody can join. I'm not home right now, but otherwise I'd be down. It's okay. That's alright, that's alright. Okay, I'm gonna start this puzzle. Let's do... Last time we did 1,000. I think I'm gonna do a 500 puzzle because I feel like it'd be a little bit easier. But how's it going, everybody? Maybe like in an hour if you're still up for it. Sure. Okay, I'm gonna join my thing just in case people want to see what I'm doing. Okay. Alrighty. Let me move my puzzle here. Okay, so I did this one 500 pieces because I feel like it won't be as hard. So I'm going to sort edges first because I feel like that will be easiest. So I always do the edges first because I genuinely feel like, I don't know, that it's just easier. Where did that come from? Oh, that always scares me, that big sound. Holy moly. Okay, guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what we have all been up to lately. I have been watching, or actually want to talk about the movie Undertone. I wanted to know if any of you guys have seen that movie. It surprisingly, like, really kind of caught me off guard. It's a super, super good movie. And I didn't expect it to be that good. If you hear my dog barking, excuse me. But I really did not expect it to be like that good of a film. But it actually really, really, really spooked me. I was watching it. I watched it in theaters when it came out not too long ago. And it actually really surprised me on how well it's like put together and how well it was able to create that kind of really spooky vibe. I really, really enjoyed it. However, I feel like it's definitely not like a scary jump scare type movie. It's definitely more of like whatchamacallit, like it's very, I don't want to say it's a slow burn because I don't feel like the movie is slow per se, but the movie is definitely makes you like very uneasy. I feel like it really creates a really good like way of like getting under your skin and truly being like really unsettling, which I really enjoy when it comes down to like scary movies and stuff like that. Because I'm not a big fan of like jump scares per se. But I am a big fan of like movies that just kind of make you feel a little bit uneasy. And it was definitely one of those movies that I came out like watching like, and I was like uneasy, like truly uneasy. And I feel like I was thinking about it for like the rest of the night, and I was like scared at home. Like when I got home, I was like scared of the dark. Like did ask like it did a really good job of like just creating that really spooky vibe. And so I really really enjoyed it. And I feel like movies like that kind of like get under your skin, like I don't know. I feel like that's good quality horror. I feel like so often nowadays there's horror movies where like I don't know, they just play up to the antics of just like trying to get you spooked. And I'm just not down for that sometimes. Like sometimes I just want a good show, and like I just want something that will have me thinking about it later for like days. And it really did a good job. So if you haven't seen it yet, I really definitely highly recommend that you guys go and see the movie Undertone. Um, Once again, just because I think it does a great job of creating this quite spooky environment. And it is like a supernatural movie. I know some people are really not into that. Like if you're religious or anything like that, totally understandable. But I definitely do recommend that you guys go and see it if you're kind of into horror movies like that. Like I said, those kind of stuffs are like that kind of stuff is like my favorite, just because of like the environment that it creates for people. And so yeah, I also saw the movie Hokum recently. Um and that was filled with jump scares, I'll give them that. And it was definitely very unsettling. I feel like they do kind of a really good job of like the set design and everything that they have on there is like it truly is really creepy. It's like, they I like the way that everything looks. It seems very like antique. Like I think the hotel that he's staying in, like it's set in Ireland or whatever. So like the hotel is like quite old, and I just like love the way that they like set up how everything works in the hotel. I think it's like really beautiful, and it really kind of throws you into that kind of like almost like you're in the movie with the main character, the way that they just set it up. So I think that was pretty cool, and I think that really added like that level of like spookiness to it. So I had a lot of fun watching that one as well. But that is like full of like jump scares. But I don't think that necessarily made it bad. Nor do I really think it added too much to it. I just think that it was a fun watch for sure. Um, but it wasn't anything that's like hasn't been done before or like is like brand new. It's all very similar to a lot of the other kind of scary hotel looking movies um, that you've seen. And it's like obviously like a haunted hotel. I don't know. I also feel like there's not that there's two plot points, but there kind of is like two plot points to the movie. And with that being said, like I feel like uh they do kind of like I don't know. I feel like they don't mix very well together, because there really is kind of like two plot points or like two separate things that are going on, and it doesn't kind of like it just doesn't mesh well together in the way that I hoped it did. So I think if they had done a little bit better in terms of like the writing and like the plot and stuff like that, the movie could have been really good. But I went ahead and I rated it on Letterboxd. So if you want to see that, or you want to follow me on Letterboxd, my username is at StealYourDog, StealYour1R this time, DOG, Steal Your Dog. If you guys want to follow me there and see what I've been watching or what I've been up to. But I'm definitely really excited for like all of these scary movies that are coming up. It's pretty fun. I'm a really big fan of like horror movies and all that kind of stuff. And so with Hokum had just came out, and then I believe next week is I think next week is either The Passenger. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for that, but The Passenger is a movie where it's about road trips, like these two guys on a road trip. If you've seen the trailer, it's like, two guys in the car and it's in the middle of the night and they have to stop because one of them has to go pee and then the guy leaves to go pee and it's like spooky and scary and whatever. So that one's coming up as well. And then I also think another one that is coming up is called The Possession. No, The Obsession. Sorry, The Obsession. And that's one where the guy like makes a wish or whatever. He's like granted one wish and he wishes that this girl that, he has a crush on is like in love with him. And I'm really looking forward to that one because I feel like the trailer doesn't give too much away. And I also feel like there's a really big thing nowadays with movie trailers is like you watch a trailer and like you see the whole dang thing like in the 2 seconds that they're showing it to you and it's like, okay, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, really? Like, all right, I just saw the whole movie, just gave the whole thing away. But no, I think the trailer for Obsession actually does a pretty good job of kind of keeping that on the down low. And so I'm really hoping it'll be good, but those are coming out the next 2 weekends. I just saw Hokum this past weekend. And so I'm definitely super excited for kind of like what's to come as far as horror movies go. I feel like horror movies nowadays too are like um they're evolving, and in a good way, I would say. I think people are starting to take horror as a genre a little bit more seriously. I feel like people have always kind of not really cared about horror movies in any way, shape, or form, and I really do think that we have Jordan Peele um, to thank for that. He's the one who made like Get Out, Nope, and all of those kinds of movies, and I really think that he kind of changed horror and kind of made it into a serious, not made it into a serious art. I feel like it's always has been, but kind of just changed the discourse around movies and what they can do. And I'm super excited for movies to start showing up in the Oscars, start winning some awards. That would be truly amazing. But yeah, I mean, as you guys can tell, I'm just a huge horror fan, and I'm just really excited for what we have going on. So I'm hoping that things continue to kind of get better in terms of like the horror world and all that jazz. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about, I guess, the kind of stuff that is in the title of the thing today, and that is true crime. So recently, I'm a big fan of the Crime Junkies podcast, and we listened to their new episode not too long ago that they came out with where they talked to John Benet Ramsey's father, which is like so crazy to see them kind of make these decisions and like have these conversations with people. For me, it's like baffling. I don't know, that this podcast has turned into something that like two people have made together and turned into something so big, and they're able to do such big like things in terms of like making a change in the community and really working on these crimes, especially these cold cases that have gone cold and have been cold for who knows how long. And so I really do appreciate Crime Junkies and the way that they talk about these cases. I know there's also like a huge amount of discord in like the crime community per se about like how like crime creators and like people who talk about true crime and all that kind of stuff, how they go about it. And I think Crime Junkies really does a great job of really kind of sticking to the truth and having that kind of like honesty and like openness about what's really going on. And I don't really feel like what they were doing in any way, shape, or form was like a way to make profit at all. I think that they were really just trying to share stories that needed to be told. And I think that they've done a really good job of that. And they've done some amazing work in terms of like helping out people and helping to solve crimes and to help people get exonerated and to help with funding and all that kind of stuff. I feel like there's a really big difference between, your average crime junkies that people listen to, or your average crime junkies, but like the crime junkies podcast. I'm talking about Ashley Flowers and the work that her team does versus like the people on social media that you see that are like, oh, like do my makeup and like let's talk about this case that's just like so incredibly shocking that has been told like 20 million times and like is only really there for shock value in terms of like engagement and stuff like that. um I think the crime junkies do a really good way of like sticking to the story and sticking to the facts and like, I don't know, telling the story with respect. You know what I mean? I feel like they're not there to do it for like entertainment purposes. Like they're not here to be like, I'm just here because like I want you to be entertained. I want you to watch my stuff. Like they're there to make a difference, to make a change. And I feel like that's, and the purpose and the intent is like what makes a difference between like good crime people and people who are really not in it for the right reasons. And I don't want to like post any names or anything like that because honestly, I don't watch any people who do that. I just know that I'm one to like steer clear if I see something like that. I'm not gonna watch those videos. I'm not gonna entertain that kind of stuff. And I pretty much just focus on wanting to have or like putting my time and effort into community that actually does good things for people. And as I had mentioned with Crime Junkies, they've clearly done a whole lot of work and it's been beautiful and I love it. But yes, so back to what I was saying. They had recently did an interview with John Benet Ramsey's dad, and I know a lot of people know about John Benet Ramsey. I think it's one of the most famous cold cases in the whole world, to be honest. And with this case, as some of you may or may not know, it involves a little girl who was found dead in her home. And they still haven't found out to this day who has done it. And it's such a shocking and like heartbreaking story of what happened to this little girl. But there's so many theories behind it, and I just kind of wanted to see, I guess, where people's like heads are, or where like the most of like society maybe thinks about what happened to this little girl. And it's just the details of this case that make it so like unfathomable. Like it just seems like there's these little things. I think like they were mentioning like the pineapple that they had found in her stomach, and about the fact that like their parents were the ones to find her in this situation and all this kind of stuff. It's just so crazy. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just like there's so many things about it that like I truly don't know. And it's so crazy to think how people could like do this kind of thing and then get away with it. I know people are thinking that it could potentially be the little brother. I think the little brother also came out not too long ago to kind of clear his name when it came down to the story of John Bonet and to kind of clear the rumors. I know a lot of people had rumors that he was involved, that he was involved in her death. And I really do truly hope that that's not true. Just because I can imagine, being in that situation that your own family would do that kind of thing to you. So I definitely don't want to assume that her family or her brother or anybody there would be capable of such a thing. But it definitely is a really scary realization that this kind of stuff could happen. And so I don't know. I really don't know what happened to that little girl. I feel like I think about it all the time, and them covering up for the brother honestly does make some kind of sense logically. Um, just because it's like such weird circumstances, especially how they found her body. It's just like, how are these things missed? How did they not see her? How did the police not see her? Didn't they search the house and they do this and they do that? And I don't know. It's just so crazy. Um, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about what your theories were, or what you guys think happened. Um, I know some people don't necessarily want to talk about these things, and that's completely fine. I'm not here to kind of like speculate or bring light to anything that may or may not be true. I just think that like having a good and open and honest discourse about something like this could literally like solve cases and like do good things. And so that's kind of like the only reason that I wanted to have these kind of conversations, is because sometimes I feel like there's theories or there's ways that we don't think of, obviously, that we don't think of, but like that shedding new light on, getting new eyes on, talking to certain people, and all of that can really like bring revelation to something that everybody has been missing all along. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is like it can bring some sort of like, I don't know, you never know. And I think that's it. I think it's like it's so important to have conversations about anything and everything, if it can mean that we can prevent something or we can help someone or we can solve something. And to me that's really, really important. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a slow day. um it's a Monday here where I am. I had a super long night. Actually, adopted a new cat. Her name is Peaches. She's super, super cute. But she has been interrupting our sleep for the past couple of nights, and so I need your guys' help on on like how do we fix this, because don't get me wrong, I love her. I love her to death, but I'm also a really big fan of my sleep. And she's definitely made it hard to get some good sleep these past couple of days, and so she tends to wake up in the middle of the night and just start meowing out of nowhere. And like, this is my first cat that I've like owned myself, if that makes sense. Like, it's not my first cat that I've lived with. My sister has a cat that she had got when she was living with me at the time, and so I am kind of used to cats in that way. However, having my own cat and like living with it like 24/7 has just been really different for me. And so yeah, we have this issue. It'll be like in the middle of the night and she'll just start meowing out of nowhere. Um and it's not quiet, like not even in the slightest. And it just completely awakens me out of my sleep. Like, I am not a light sleeper. I never really have been. And so whenever she starts her whole like meowing thing that she's got going on, like, it just jerks me out of my sleep. I'm about to yawn. It just jerks me out of my sleep because it's that loud. And I think she's crying for attention. I don't think she's like, I don't know, I would say people are like, oh, well, like, maybe she's lonely. Which, like, yeah, she could be, but she sleeps, like, in the room, like, in our bed practically. Like, she's definitely not lacking, like, affection in that way, if that makes sense. Like, she's just, I don't know, she just wakes up and she starts screaming, and, like, I love her, but I do not have time for her antics. Like, this is like the 5th day we've had where she's pretty much woken us all up with the screaming she has done. So if you guys have any sort of idea on how I can resolve this issue or fix it, because obviously I don't want her to be like in distress, you know what I mean? Like, so if you guys know of anything that I could do to help her so that she's a little bit less like rowdy when it comes to bedtime, that would be super great. Your help would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, no, she'll just wake up and she'll start meowing. She'll start scratching at the bed. So I feel like she's bored. But it's like, I'm not home during the day. I work 8 hours. And like my partner, he works usually in the evening. So they're not really home alone for more than like 2 to 3 hours at a time. But it's like, how much more affection do you need? I have 2 dogs as well. So like they're all constantly like entertaining each other all the time. And stuff like that. So yeah. So once again, if you have any idea as to how I can help her out, I just don't want her to be in distress for much longer at night. That way we can all get some sleep. It'll be best for us all. I promise. We're just not the kind of people who can take this kind of nonsense for very long. So I'm not saying we're gonna get rid of her or anything. No, not at all. That's not on our plan ever. For now and forever, she's here with us. But I've definitely gotten to a point where I'm super sleepy. So let me know, please, if you have any way you can help me. Okay, I feel like I get really distracted. I get super distracted, and so then I stop working on my puzzle because I can't really do 2 things at once. I have ADHD. Bro, I was talking to somebody in Discord today, and I was like, oh, I have ADHD, and they were like, oh my gosh, you guys can't do anything, which is that meme. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it's like a tweet where they're talking about how like they can't do this because they're ADHD and blah blah blah, just kind of spreading awareness, the usual. And somebody responds to them like, oh my god, y'all can't do anything. And like, I don't know why, I thought it was like the funniest thing ever when they said that to me. I'm also just somebody who likes to complain, which I know probably isn't like a good thing, but I don't know, man. I just like love me a really good complaining session. Like, just let me be me. Let me be me. Let me complain. Like, it's okay, and we'll all be better for it. Just let it happen. Okay, well, since nobody's here, let's go ahead and listen to a Crime Junkies episode, and then perhaps we can go ahead and talk a little bit about it, because I think that would be a nice thing that we can all do together. So let's take a look. I think I'm current right now with their podcast episodes. However, I haven't listened to all of them. So I'm usually going back into their discography per se and listening to a bunch of like their older stuff, just to some that I missed. I think I started from the bottom a couple years ago, and then I don't know. So now I just kind of scroll and wait until I see one that I that I haven't listened to, and I'll listen to that. I also listen to it a lot when I'm driving. And so because of that, I pick the episodes based on length, depending on how long my drive is and stuff like that, because I want to try and finish it by the time I get to work, and depending on my commute, it could take up to an hour, and so I tend to like ones that take a little bit longer. But let's go ahead and listen to maybe a shorter one. So this one is about 30 minutes. So let's listen to this one together.
This message is brought to you by Alloy Health.
Oh yeah,
Let's
you guys
be
can
honest,
hear that.
aging can come with some
Let's go
unwelcome
ahead
changes
and
or didn't know straight to your
skip
SS
ads a little bit, just so that
officially out on paperback.
that is the
and
best
that
part
will
about
keep you
having
guessing until the very end that you
premium.
didn't see coming. If you're ready for a story full of secrets, surprises, and a final turn that will stay
Ooh, I had to
with
turn
you,
it up so I
grab
could hear.
your paperback copy of The Missing Half now,
Oh, wait.
wherever books are sold.
Eee. Okay,
Hi, Crime Junkies. I'm your host, Ashley
I'm so
Flowers.
excited.
And I'm Britt.
And man, the story I have for you today, I'm going to warn you, it is going to have you yelling at your phone or whatever you're listening on because the answers to this case were out in the open the entire time. When a family disappears into thin air, it is glaringly obvious that all roads point to one person. And the answer literally starts at home. But police at the time jumped on the investigation too little, too late, leaving the family of the victims frustrated with the lack of police response for this family of color, something that is still all too common in marginalized communities. But we talked to an attorney in this case, and she gave us the real details on why the investigation unfolded the way it did, and why no charges were ever brought in what looks like an open and shut murder case. This is the story of the Thompson family.
I mean, I think it's okay if I stream this since I'm not like profiting off of it, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm breaking any rules.
It's Friday, July 5th, 1996, when Herman Thompson calls his son Everett at the restaurant Everett owned. He wants to know exactly when he can expect Everett and his young family to get into town for the holiday weekend. The plan was for them to drive from Chicago to Philly sometime after Everett got off work. But when you're the owner-operator, that's always a little TBD.
Yeah.
So before they can hash out all the details over the phone, Everett tells his dad, okay, listen, hang on, my wife Lydia, she's on the other line. He's only off the phone for a second before he clicks back over and he tells his dad he's got to go. Lydia has locked herself and their two boys in the closet because her brother is there at their house threatening them with an axe, and Everett's got to get home. Like,
What the
click.
hell?
Now, based on reporting from the Chicago Tribune, Herman expects Everett to call him back at any point, right?
Yeah, and be like, hey, everything's fine, whatever.
But he doesn't. And I assume he calls back, probably tries Lydia too, but he's not getting anyone. So when a whole day goes by without word, he calls the police in Chicago to report everyone missing. And that's Everett, Lydia, and their two boys, Everett Jr., who's 11, and Andrew, who's 8. But guess what? The Chicago PD won't take the missing persons report over the phone from someone who lives out of state.
Okay, did
What
he
the hell?
mention the part about the axe?
He had to
Right.
have, but they seemingly won't budge. So he's like,
What the hell?
fine, can you at least go do like a welfare check on
Yeah,
Right.
again, axe.
Yes, and this they can do. So they tell Herman, listen, we're going to send someone out to do a welfare check. We'll give you a call back at some point.
Okay.
Minutes must feel like hours like days.
Yeah.
But eventually his phone does ring. And the department is calling with good news. The family's fine. They're
Oh.
actually on their way to Philly right now. And
Okay.
Herman's like, oh my God, good. Like, you talked to them. They're okay. Like, and he's like, well, no. I talked to someone named Kenneth, said he was Lydia's brother.
Wait, like the axe
Hello?
brother?
Yeah, he's the one who told them that they had already left in the family van.
I'm sorry, is
Excuse
no
me,
one
what?
putting two and two together? Like, why are we taking the word of the axe-wielding brother? And
Right.
also, why is he the one who's answering their door?
Exactly.
Well, so Kenneth actually lives there, so that part's not odd. He had just gotten out of prison 5 months earlier. He had originally moved in with a roommate, I guess, but that didn't work out, so he moved in with Lydia and her family. Like, whatever, that part's neither here nor there. The scary part is that, as you said, the axe-wielding brother told police they'd already left. He didn't say when exactly, just that
What
they're
the
gone.
actual hell?
Which means that the family should already be in Philly. And Herman knows they're not.
Right.
But
Hmm.
all of Herman's concerns, even as he's like pointing this out, seem to be overlooked by Chicago PD. They're pretty much like, well, maybe they got delayed, just like give it a minute. But the 6th goes by, then the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th,
What the
11th, 12th,
actual
13th.
heck?
The holiday weekend has come and gone twice over. And the family in Philly can't wait anymore. Like, if they need a missing persons report to be filed in person, fine, we'll go do it in person.
Right.
So Everett's mom, dad, and a couple of his siblings, Derek and Denise, they make the 11-ish hour trip from Philly to Chicago on the 13th. And just to make sure that they're not the crazy ones, because police sure made them feel like that, they stop at Everett's restaurant first. Or at least Denise and Derek are pretty sure that's where they stop first. We spoke to both of them, and they said that, it's been almost 30 years on. Like, everything's a little bit fuzzy, but they think the restaurant was the first stop. But they know for sure that when they got there and spoke with the manager, she tells them that Everett hasn't been seen in the restaurant or even seen by anyone since the 5th. That is the
What the
same
hell?
day that Dad last spoke to him on the phone.
Hmm.
So next, they go to the family home on the south side of Chicago, the same place that Everett told his dad that he was headed to when he cut that call with him short.
Mhm.
Now, the house is locked when they get there, so they end up having to track down a key from one of Lydia's aunts who lives nearby. And when they get in, the scene is bone-chilling. The house is empty, totally cleared out, except for garbage bags full of clothes. I'm talking no furniture, nothing.
Not even Kenneth?
No, not even Kenneth is there. So now it's time to file that missing persons report with police. According to the family, Chicago PD does take the report now that they're in person, but it still doesn't seem like they're doing much. I mean, it was summertime, so I think the thing they're thinking is like it's within the realm of possibility, at least to police, that the Thompsons had in fact just like taken a trip before school started or something. And it's not entirely clear to me if they consider at all whether something nefarious could have happened to this entire family. But their own family is convinced this is wrong. So they start going door knocking around the Thompsons' home themselves looking for answers. And they find someone with an interesting story to tell. According to Denise, this one guy says, you know what? I did see something. Now, he didn't specify exactly when this happened, but he said it was likely sometime between their disappearance, which would have been on the 5th, and when all the family got there on the 13th. But this guy says that it was the middle of the night one night, and he noticed someone. He didn't say who, but he knew it wasn't Everett or Lydia. But this person was taking out trash from the Thompson house. One of the things that they pulled out of the house was this large rolled up carpet. And instead of setting it out on the curb with the rest of the stuff, this mystery person puts it in the back of Everett's van.
The van that Kenneth said the family drove to Philly.
Exactly. And guess what? He's not saying that anymore. The family's bringing like
What?
every tidbit they get back to police, including this story. And at some point, the police at least go talk to Kenneth again. And this time, when they ask him where the family is, Kenneth tells them a different story. He says that he drove Everett to a bus station on July 5th. I'm guessing in Everett's van because Kenneth didn't have a vehicle that we know of. And he says that Lydia and the boys were already there waiting for him because they were going to go take a bus to Philly for the weekend. But he hasn't seen them since.
Okay, so where's the van now, Kenneth?
My question exactly. Followed by, did anyone check the bus depot?
Right.
Like, I bet the family bought no tickets. But it's unclear if police did that or if they even attempt to track the van down. I mean, our FOIA requests were denied in this case. My gut says even if we got them, we wouldn't see much.
Right.
Because for context, police inaction in Chicago is not uncommon for people of color,
so sad.
especially back in the 90s. I actually looked at some studies from the Invisible Institute and Data USA, and there has been a decrease in population size of Black Chicagoans over the past 2 decades. But according to census data, they make up around 34% of the population, give or take. Yet, they account for 2/3 of all missing person cases. And some were later found to be likely homicides. So it is clear that this kind of dismissal is just baked into the system. So I don't know what happens next. Seems like not a whole lot. But the one court doc I did get my hands on says that at the beginning of August, now nearly a full month since the family has been seen, a detective finally makes his way over to Everett's restaurant to talk to the manager who was working on the 5th when
this
Everett
makes my
ran out
mouth
to go check on his
look
family.
blue.
And what she says gives even more cause for concern and
Think
puts
better?
even more suspicion on Kenneth.
See this one. Fancy.
This episode
These
is
colors.
sponsored by BetterHelp, and I'm here
What
to
about this
remind you that May is Mental Health Awareness
I like
Month.
this one.
Having someone with
Okay,
you to
hold on.
listen, to understand,
Peaches.
to support can make all the difference. BetterHelp makes it easy to get
And
started with quality,
peaches.
fully licensed therapists in the U.S. who follow a strict code of conduct. In fact, BetterHelp is the world's largest
Oh, let me
online
skip
therapy
this ad.
platform
Sorry,
with
y'all.
over 30,000 therapists. At any time, have someone with you in therapy. Only use certain name brands for. And this is magic. I mean, really, all your laundry steps in one. It has scrubbers,
Peaches.
all machines, all size loads, any kind. Never saw or heard from him again after that. Experience real laundry magic.
You guys see my peaches.
The manager
she's so
tells
cute.
police that Everett left the restaurant quickly at around 3 p.m. on the 5th. She never saw or heard from him again after that, which is way concerning. But even more concerning was the fact that not long after Everett left that day, like 2 hours later, 5 p.m., she saw Kenneth pull up in Everett's van, the same van that Everett had just left in.
So Kenneth definitely had the van.
Yeah. And she said that in that moment, something Everett once told her comes to the forefront of her mind. He said, quote, "If you
Man,
ever
that's so
see
hard.
Kenny driving my car, you'll know that I'm dead."
I mean, immediately
What the
call the
hell?
police.
I know, yes, easy for us to say now.
Yes.
But no, like, I mean, everything sounds ominous in hindsight. Like, I kind of wonder, like, what if Everett was saying that as a joke at the time? Like, oh, his car was out, and she's like, oh, does your brother have it? And he's like, oh my God, like, I'll be dead.
Over my dead body.
Literally.
Yeah.
I don't know the context for that.
Peaches.
Also,
Uh-oh,
Kenneth
cat
was there
asshole
with a
video.
story that must have made her put her guard
Cat
down.
asshole.
I guess he came into the restaurant and walked right
Cat
up to her and said that
asshole.
Everett had gotten in an accident and was arrested after he got in an
Peaches.
argument with a Chicago police officer. Now, this makes zero sense to the manager because that's not like Everett at all. But for some reason, she accepts this, even when she looks down at Kenneth's feet and notices what looks like blood on his white sneakers. And not that I even have to say this, but just in case, there was never any arrest records for Everett in Chicago or anywhere else.
What?
Now, what does the detective do with this
Peaches.
bombshell revelation?
Peaches.
Wish I could tell you.
She's
The
on my
Chicago
computer.
Tribune reports that in October 1996, Chicago PD's Special Investigation Unit takes on the Thompsons case. And they've got to attempt to retrace all the family's steps from like 3 months before. They're so behind. But they start by going to the boys' school and they talk to the principal who says that the boys hadn't attended since early summer of 1996. So seemingly when the school year ended in June. And there were no other transfer requests or anything. So like poof, they're just gone. And it's discovered that medical appointments have been missed. No one has shown back up at the restaurant. And even their mail person noticed that none of the Thompsons were getting any of their mail. And they had left the family cat behind. It was just Kenneth and this cat at the house.
Peaches, could
So
you
it is
imagine if
seeming
we left
more
you
and more clear
behind?
that something happened to this family on or around July 5th. And all eyes are finally on Kenneth. And guess what was in their records all along that maybe they knew about but did nothing with, or they never looked hard enough into to find? Just 2 days before the family went missing, Lydia had called police on Kenneth for the same exact thing that she called her husband for on the 5th. Court records show that on July 3rd of 1996, Lydia called police to say that Kenneth was chasing her around the house with an axe.
What the
Now, the court
actual-
documents aren't actually for that case. It's just like a note made for another case involving something else. So it doesn't get into any details about the police's response or lack thereof, because I know based on the records that they didn't arrest Kenneth for that. Now, we found some reporting from the Chicago Tribune that says police noted the scene was quiet and calm and no ongoing trouble, nothing that stood out. But that doesn't make it clear to me, like, was Kenneth gone? Was he there, but everything had cooled down?
Yeah.
I wish I had more details. Again, the court records just say that the responding officer checked out each room, didn't see anything strange. But, like, they clearly didn't do enough because instead of calling 911 on the 5th, 2 days later, Lydia calls her husband for help. Like, she called the police the first time and nothing happened.
Right.
Now, as you might be picking up on, Kenneth is a real piece of work. Like I said, he had just recently gotten out of jail. He was a convicted sexual predator who was threatening to murder his sister now. For why, you might ask.
Yeah.
Best guess is only here. But he and Lydia had a history of animosity, according to court docs. Detectives learned from their aunt that things had gotten pretty bad between the year before, in 1995, after their dad passed away. Their mom had already died in 89. But when their dad passed away, this is when the kids, so Kenneth, Lydia, and their other sister Phyllis, they got an inheritance. Now, this came while Kenneth was still in prison for criminal sexual assault. So Lydia sent him his portion while he was still in prison. But when he received $11,000 from Lydia, he was pissed because he told their aunt that each of them were allotted $15,000. So basically, he thought that Lydia was holding out on him. And he accused her of getting rid of his personal belongings while he was locked up. And he's saying all of this via letters to his aunt that, of course, the aunt ended up not being able to find for us, which is like a real shame because she says that in these letters, Kenneth allegedly wrote that he was going to kill Lydia when he got out of prison.
What the heck?
Very damning letters.
Did Lydia not know how much he hated her before she let him move in with her family?
It seems like she did. But, like, she let him move
How
in probably because she felt some sense of obligation to, not because she was, like, jazzed to help out her brother. You see, the house that she was living in was also something that their parents left to all 3 kids. So I don't know how much of a choice Kenneth even really gave her in being there.
In theory, it's kind of his house, too.
Yeah, I mean, in legal, like, not even theory. And really, it was apparently the house he was upset about more than anything, at least according to the roommate that Kenneth lived with right before he moved into the house with Lydia. And this roommate also says something interesting to police. He said that sometime between July and November, big window there, but he can't remember when, Kenneth told him that Lydia and her family moved out of the house because they were afraid that they were going to lose their children to Child Protective Services.
Cheryl absolutely loves
There is
peaches,
no evidence of this. It sounds more like a story to explain why all of a sudden the house is empty to the sky.
But
Now, investigators also learned that Herman had
I'm
hired
actually
a
just gonna
PI
stop the
at some point.
stream. Today's a little bit of a chill day. It doesn't seem like anybody really wanted to join today, which is totally fine. But I'm gonna give a little bit of attention to my dogs. My tummy hurts a little bit, so I'm gonna call it a day. Hopefully, you guys who see this later can enjoy the little bit of a yap sesh that I had earlier about some of my favorite scary movies. Heard a little bit about the story. If you want to hear a little bit more, it is Crime Junkies episode called Missing the Thompson Family, posted on October 30th of 2025. There's not too much left yet, only about 10 minutes. But if you want to finish it, they are on Spotify if you want to check them out. Other than that, thank you guys for just sitting with me and listening to me talk and sharing hopefully what is more of a calm and quiet moment. I think the world is really missing that, especially lately, and so I'm hoping that this brings you guys some sort of peace and quiet as these days continue to go. I know life has been a little bit hard lately, but just know that if we take a moment and we breathe, that everything's going to be okay and that we have each other and we have to continue to lean on each other. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to have you guys be part of this community, and I essentially just want this to be like a really big friend group where we all just kind of know each other and we hang out and we do stuff for each other and just kind of build a community that really cherishes each other. And so please, don't hesitate to reach out to me and to join and subscribe and hang out. I just want this to be a place where we can all go to at the end of the day and just kind of get away from stuff. And I love making friends, the more the merrier. I'm not judgmental. None of my friends are judgmental. We just want fellow people who are caring, who are kind, to just come out here and to my cat somewhere. Just come out here, hang, and have a good time. So let me know, you guys, if there's anything that I could do for y'all. I really do truly appreciate you guys, and I hope that you guys stick around with me for a little bit as I continue to grow this channel. I'm going to try to do a little bit more. I'm working on some ideas for some actual videos besides just live streaming, but I do love the chance to be able to talk to people in real time and to be able to hang out. And so if you guys need anything from me, please just reach out to me. I think most of my socials tend to be Steal Your Dog. Some of them might have an extra L, some of them might have an extra Y, or depending on which social media you reach out to me on. But yeah, thanks you guys so much. Happy Monday. I hope this brings some sort of happiness to the beginning of your week, and I hope to see you all later. Bye.